How's it going, guys? Welcome back to What You Drive. I'm your host, J Rods. Today we got a special guest, Miss Jessica.
Hello.
She's an amazing photographer. We're here to learn about her story and how she took her passion into a full-fledged business. Mm-hmm. So, Jessica, thank you for taking the time to come here and have this conversation.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. Super excited.
Yeah, this is awesome. So, before though, how did you get started into photography? Like, what led you to pick up a camera and start this hobby?
It's kind of a long story, but I'll give you like the condensed version. I've always really been into science and art. In college, I kind of started doing science, but then kind of wanted to change gears and get into photography. So I decided to get a degree in photography, and I focused on fine art, and I did a whole lot of analog work, digital work, studio work, but I kind of leaned more fine art versus, I want to jump into commercial photography or wedding photography. So I was like, maybe I should actually finish my science degree. And then I went and became a science teacher. I still am. I've been doing that for 13 years. And then this past summer, even though I've been doing photography off and on since then, I was like, I really actually want to start my own photography business. So I had a friend and he was like, sounds like you are really into photography. Like you're actually really passionate about it. Why don't you go and make money doing that? And I was like, well, I guess I could, but then what in the world am I going to photograph? And he said, like, why don't you do car photography? And he showed me Larry Chen.
Oh, I love
and
Larry.
I had no idea that like car photography could be beautiful, that the people and the cars, the culture, like I wasn't really familiar with all of that at that time. So once I saw his photographs, like there was this one photograph where he was really low and there was like a piece of salt. He must have been maybe in Utah, something like that, but that was like in the foreground, and this beautiful like sports car was in the background. And I was like, oh my goodness, like I could create things like that. And I'm a portraiture photographer, so I was like, I want to focus on like pictures of people in their cars. So I went to my first car show. This was actually just in June when I had this conversation with my friend, and then in the beginning of July is when I went to my first car show.
What car show was it?
It was the one in China Grove, and it was Tamsin from Speedology does that one.
Yeah.
It's a cute little downtown. Immediately when I got there, I saw this guy in a like dark green Chevy Bel Air, and he had red hair, and he was there with his wife, and he just had this whole vibe about him. And I just was like immediately drawn to this car and this person. And then I spent like 45 minutes photographing him, his car, his wife. I was like getting down low, doing all the angles, and I had never photographed a car or people like in this particular environment before. But I was like immediately hooked on it. And I actually met Tamsin there from Speedology.
Okay. I did want to ask you how you guys met.
Yeah. And so she saw me, and she must have seen me laying on the ground and kind of just, being a whole character about it. And she's like, I can tell that you're really good at photography. Like, call me. And she gave me her card. So that's how we originally connected. But that guy, his name is Anthony, and that was actually his dad's car. So he was telling me about the connection between him, that car, his dad, his grandfather, the little hot rod garage that they have like out in Kershaw. Just how the car wasn't actually his yet. It was his dad's, and he won't get it until, his dad passes away. He rolled around with like a skeleton in the back seat.
Oh, no
And
way.
this was in like July, right? This is not even around Halloween. And then he had a Chucky doll and a Bride of Chucky doll in the back of his car too. And I just thought, is this really what car culture is? Like, I had no idea. And I think that's part of why I was immediately hooked. Just the compelling story about him and his family. The idea of this like hot rod garage existing out in the middle of nowhere in the country, and I was like, I need to photograph this. Like at some point in time I need to go out there and do that. I ended up giving him the photographs of that session, but after that I was like, there's actually a market for this, so I need to probably try to turn that into an actual business and start selling And he said, you have no idea like what it means, these photographs of me in this car. And like it touched him on that emotional level. And then that made me even more hooked, because I was like, I'm capturing like family and legacy, and I want to be a part of that. That's why I love portraiture. That's why I love people. I mean, I'm a high school science teacher by day. I love people. I love kids. But portraiture, like, I'm getting all emotional about it. Because,
okay.
like, it's...
You want me to get you a necking?
No, I'm good. I'm a very emotional person.
No,
so,
it's okay.
But I like that idea of me helping people capture themselves, you know, their cars, their stories. Because I feel like... I know I'm kind of newer to the car world. I have never seen a person do what I'm doing at a car show. And I know I haven't been to a ton of them, but I haven't seen it.
Being that I've been around the cars like my whole, like adulthood pretty much, is like when people go to car shows is you either take photo of the cars or like the whole event. And then you take a lot of photos of like models with the cars. But it's like,
models.
You never get to meet the owner, or like they'll catch them in the background, because, you know, normally, like, I feel like a lot of the car people, well, I'm speaking for myself, but I'm sure a lot of them could relate. They introverted, like, people, like they like the attention and building something cool for people to see because it's their passion, but at the same time they're like keeping to themselves. So I feel like that's why a lot of the owners, you never see them in the pictures, you never see them in, you know, like having these conversations with people out in public.
Oh, and I definitely would agree with you. Most of the people that I've photographed haven't been like super outgoing personalities, but I have this ability to just build like an immediate rapport with people because I love people. I genuinely want to capture them, and like I make them feel immediately comfortable, and it's just this gift that I have. And so I feel like that brings out like these stories and these feelings in the pictures of people in their cars, and like really touching stories too. There are so many stories that I could tell you about people in their cars. Like Charlotte Motor Speedway is one of my favorite places to go for car shows.
Right.
Because it's huge, and they have this like little special classics section there. And I love like the backdrop of everything too. You see the literal speedway behind you. You have the expansive parking lot. You have like the little road that's in the background. The sun like rises over the speedway, and it has gorgeous backlight. And it's right there by the classics section. Just everything lines up. But there's this one kind of like famous guy, not like famous to the world, but famous in that he goes to like every one of the car shows there. His name is Bill, and he has a Malibu, and it's red, and he's very well known in the car community. And he actually is from New York, but he moved here some time ago, and he's had this car since like, I think he didn't buy it like brand new, but he bought it a couple years like after it came out. And then he moved down here, and his whole life is in this car. It's been published in magazines. That's where you see car owners and their cars are in magazines, like Hot Rod magazines. So he, of course, had the copy of that and everything. And he was very soft-spoken, very quiet, very humble, but so many stories about the mural that's on the back of his car that somebody painted, who's unfortunately no longer alive, but now that artwork lives on the back of this car. And then that same day, while I'm photographing him, this guy comes up. His name is John, and he's like, "Oh, hey, Bill." He grew up seeing Bill drive that Malibu through his neighborhood in New York.
No way.
And they both happened to move down here. So I have a picture of both of them together.
That's a small world.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Isn't that crazy?
That is very crazy.
Yeah.
What are the odds?
I know. And then you get to experience things like that, because the car culture around here is pretty big, right?
Yeah.
Because of all of the car things that happen here in the Charlotte area. But it's also small, and you can witness moments like that. And then I got one of my most favorite photographs that I've taken so far is Bill in the back of his car. And you know, at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, those cars and coffee events, there's tons of people that go there. Yeah. So he's just kind of like casually standing in the back of his car. He's got his little cowboy hat on. He's got his white t-shirt and his blue jeans. I mean, he just looks like classic car bro, right?
Yeah.
Like old timer, just quiet, humble, proud. And he's just standing there like this, and he's like looking to the side, and there are seriously like 10 people looking at his car from the side. And so he's in the back, they're all on the side, there's people at the front, like his whole car was surrounded. I did not arrange that. That is just what happened in the photograph.
Is this photo on your Instagram?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
for everybody watching, I'll pop a photo so you guys can see what she's describing
Yeah.
right now if you're watching.
Yeah.
So that this is probably like a cool picture. I
Yeah.
can't wait to see it and look it up.
It seriously is one of my most favorite photographs, and it's in the morning, so the sun is kind of like behind him. But you see young people, older people, kids, women, men, just looking at this car. And so on the engine, I wish that I knew more about cars, so I'm so sorry I can't rattle off like facts about, this many horsepower, and I can't do that. But it's a big engine, okay? It's got like a big, what do you call it? Is it
Carburetor, probably?
Yeah, like seriously sticking out of the hood hole.
Oh, it's probably like a supercharger or something.
It's insane. And anybody who goes to these car shows probably knows exactly who I'm talking about. But it always catches that kind of attention. And I just caught this perfect moment of kind of his life at car shows. And in some ways, it kind of makes me sad that the people don't know the story about Bill. I know that car people do, but I wish that more people could know the stories about these people. So, like, one of my dreams is to, like, publish a book on the stories of car owners and their cars. I'd like to ultimately do, like, a digital portraiture series as well as tintypes, which I do analog photography too, which we can talk about.
That's really cool.
I actually brought some with me if
you?
we want to look at some of them.
For sure.
I don't know if you want to do that now or later.
We could do it now if you want to get it.
Okay, yeah.
While you do that, let me grab the mouse because I left it over.
I'm like super emotional, so I'm so sorry. I just like, because I really care about what I do. So
and that's why we're here, for people to to hear your story and see.
Okay, let me get this out. So this is a whole nother thing too, which we can talk about. I brought a whole like
show and tell
thing.
I love it.
So I brought a couple of photos. Unfortunately, I don't have tintype of Bill, but hopefully someday I can capture those. So now these are just like testing plates. So hopefully your audience doesn't like super judge me for this, and you can totally hold that. So this is called a tintype. And
that's so cool.
These are photographs on metal.
On metal?
Yeah, so it's a metal plate. And this is not exactly how it was done in like the 1800s, like around Civil War time. This is when photography first really got started. And
that is amazing.
Photographs were made on glass and metal at that time. And so this was actually at the Speedway. This is Mark, and he's friends with Bill, and I did some test plates of him.
That's the same one.
This is, I'm sorry?
No, I was asking, was that the same one, and you took out the other one to see?
Oh, no, nope, I have another one with me, if you want to look at that, so sorry.
Guys, sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but like I'll do like a quick B-roll of this stuff so you guys can see what she's talking about. This is amazing, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen anything like this before.
Yeah, I mean, and we can hold it up to the camera, but as far as the detail, it's kind of hard to see. So this is another one of Mark, and his car is actually
so cool.
primer gray, so it looks really cool in the tintype. And you can see the chrome on the wheel on that. It glistens like it's metal because
that's impressive.
These are made with silver gelatin emulsion. So it literally is silver that you're looking at in the image. And like I said, these are test plates, so I'm refining my I almost dropped it. I'm refining my process, but my goal is to make 8x10s of these, so large plates, and offer that as part of my business and really kind of capture people in a unique way. But I love digital too, so I'm never going to stop doing that. But this is almost like a lost art. So if you guys Oh, it just hit the mic.
It's
If you
okay.
guys come to the Charlotte Motor Speedway or other car shows around here, like you'll see me with my big, like large format camera. It's red. It sticks out like a sore thumb. You'll see me like under my dark cloth, like focusing, and it's super fun. And I can't wait to like officially like bring that to market. I'm doing more test plates at Charlotte Motor Speedway next month, but
I'll definitely try to come out. I haven't been to a Cars and Coffee in I don't know how long. It's been a very long time. Once we finish, I'll show you my project cars in the garage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to see that. Yeah, I could do a test plate on you if you want.
Yeah.
I'm still cool. Testing. I shot 8 test plates at the Knowledge Perk car show, which I had never been to that one before in Rock Hill. That one was actually pretty cool.
Oh yeah. Yep. I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, like it's got the those old manufacturing buildings in the background, and then that kind of row of like brick building businesses. Yep. It's super cool. I'd never been. Every time
I'm driving, I'm a truck driver. So like every time I'm driving somewhere, like I'm always like looking like, oh, this is a beautiful like picture place for cars or something.
Ooh, share some of those with me like, because I need some more.
I'm always like looking around to see if I see something like, that's different. So I mean, I got a lot of cool like spots even here since it's on this side. I don't know what way you came. You might have come
through Lake Wiley.
Like, did you go over the bridge?
Yeah. So the like, Buster Boy Bridge.
Yeah, with like Papadoxus and like the QT. Mm-hmm. So right there, you could go like you could actually almost drive into the water and do photos there, and it's free. And then across from there, there's a park that has like this. They just I don't know. Sometime this year they paved the road so it's like freshly black with the yellow stripe line and there's like S curves, and I was like. It's hard for me to go and set up a tripod and somebody's coming, and I was like, it's always so hard to take the picture and drive the car at the same time. So like that's a beautiful spot right there. You could do a lot of photos.
Okay, you have to show me like on a map exactly how to get there, because I'm always looking for spaces like that.
Like one of my first podcasts that I did with Chris when I first got started, we went to the park and like parked the cars behind us and sat onto like lounge chairs and did the podcast right there. And
that's so cool. Yeah, I'll need to watch that one.
Yeah. It's a huge difference compared to what I have now and what I've learned like through time, you know, of when I first started like last year to now. It's just been like trying to perfect it, trying to get better.
Yeah.
And it's just an ongoing thing. You learn something new every day.
Oh yeah. I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I want to start at like the top of my game. So sometimes it's kind of hard for me to accept like you have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
But as long as you're constantly working towards getting better. Like my first like I told you that Bel Air was my first kind of person in their car. I took great photographs, still some of my most favorite photographs. And also, who could not like a photograph of Chucky and his bride in like the trunk of a Bel Air? Like, how could you not like that?
That's awesome.
Yeah. But, there were angles that I missed, moments that I could have captured. But now I know more about all of the different things that you can do with cars. That's what's so cool about car photography, is when my friend first said that to me, I was like, I told you I had this story about Larry Chen, but I still was, not that I was skeptical, I just was like, I wonder how far I can push this.
Yeah.
But every single person that I photograph, even just at car shows, I've done a few on location shoots, but even at car shows, there's amazing things that you can do. So like at the Knowledge Perk one, there's that colorful mural that's in the background that I think it says Rock Hill. And I photographed Donnie, who's actually very well known in the car world, and then a woman named Lisa, who actually waited around for me to finish up my other photography to capture her and her
the one with the GS?
Lexus. Yeah. And there's this album cover, I think it's Bonnie Tyler, where she's got her like knees on the armrest inside of the car and she's out of the car, and then she's going like this, on like the hood of the car, so only half of her body is out, and it's some sports car. I don't know if it's like a Charger or a Camaro or it's something from back then. It looks super cool, and it's at night, but I loved that pose. It was like strong and feminine and sexy and cool, like rock and roll, And so I told Lisa, I was like, there's this pose. I saw this on this album cover. Like, I want to do this. And she was just all for it. So we did that. Awesome. And then there's that colorful mural behind her. And there was this flower in the center of the mural. And so I put her head, right in the middle of the flower. So it's like the flower is, all around her head and all the bright colors, like a rainbow, just covered with a rainbow. And the sun was behind her and it was catching her hair. And it looked really cool. That's also one of my favorite photographs. But there's always new things that you can do, especially with new locations. And inspiration will strike you. Like, I was just listening to some Bonnie Tyler, and just saw that album cover on my phone or on my car. And I took out my phone and was like, oh, I got to capture that. I'm like driving. I'm like, oh, I got to get that. So I'm always growing, even though I just kind of started. There's always inspiration other places. And I'm excited to do some more on-location shoots. I want to do some like pairs of people. So
like couples or like two people together,
yes,
like showing their cars.
I haven't done that yet, but Lisa mentioned her and her son. They have like similar cars. I thought that could be so cool.
Yeah, that'd
doing
be cool.
a mother-son shoot. And then I have some other clients where they both own the same Corvette, but one's black and one's white.
Ooh.
And they're a couple. And so I thought, oh man, that could be so sick. Like if they are wearing the same color outfit as their car, or maybe like the same color outfit as their partner's car. And there's so many like cool things that you could do around that. My mind is just reeling. Like every time
just listening to you talk, my brain is like going like,
yeah,
like, like creative processes, like trying to like start.
I mean, there are just endless things that you can do with cars. And I'm sure I'm going to find more and more things, especially now since I'm combining the analog with the digital. But that's what I love about it. Like, it's just endless storytelling, and I like that it's authentic too. So that's kind of more of what I do. There's nothing wrong with like the type of car photography that's out there where it's kind of more like highly edited and it's all about the car looking like the absolute best. And
you want to capture the moment, the whole picture, not just the object.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but I capture people and moments and feelings and vibes, and that's just my style. So
have you had a chance to like network with other photographers just to pick their brain and see how they work lately?
Yeah, I mean, I've met quite a few photographers just at the car shows, and they'll follow me online and I'll follow them, so I'll see things that they're doing. Some pretty well-known ones out there too. But I still have not met anyone yet who does what I do. So I'll see their cool car photos, right? There's so many examples of that in this area. Just stunning car photography. I've met probably at least, I don't know, maybe like 10 or so people that do that. Mm-hmm. Great photographs. So I can learn from that because, like I said, I wasn't really into car photography before this summer. So I didn't really know kind of how to capture cars, because there's like a specific way in which you need to do that, especially like at noon. For all you photography people, that noon in bright sun is like not the best lighting situation. So actually at that first car show, I actually met somebody who does photography and goes to a lot of Tamsin's Speedology's car shows. His name's Jamil. He's super cool. And him and another guy were there, and they were looking at my camera. You know how like photographers do. They'll just check out the gear and be like, oh, what you got over there? I'm like, oh, I got a Canon R6 Mark II, and I got my 24-105 on here. And then one of the guys was like, you don't have an ND filter? And I was like, no. Am I supposed to have an ND filter? I mean, I know what they are. I just never really shot with that when I first started photography. And he was like, yeah, you can't get like the dark skies and all this stuff if you don't have one. And then so I had to go, of course, and buy the Polar Pro, like top of the line 5-stop ND filter with a CPL. So now I can cut reflections when I want to and have my ND filter
all in one.
Yeah, so now I rock my 85 millimeter 1.2L, my Canon, like bread and butter, beautiful, like creamy bokeh lens, and I can rock it like wide open at 1.2 with my ND filter. and I absolutely love that lens. Most of what you see on my Instagram is shot with that lens, and mostly at 1.2. Just the compression and how it just blurs out the background, especially at busy car shows. Like, you want the environment, but you don't want it to be so distracting.
Yeah, you don't want it to be too noisy.
Yeah. So I'm rocking my ND filter with my little polarizer on there, and my most favorite lens ever, that 85 millimeter. But I have another one. I actually am dual wielding cameras now. So I got my little harness and 2 cameras, and so I'll rock my 24-105 and my 85.
So I see that the cool thing about like going and speaking with people like that is like you'll get to learn and like see like what they do different than, and then you can apply it to your like style and how you want to do things. So I think that's really like the cool part about it.
Yeah, I'm sure I would have figured out the ND thing at some point in time, especially when I was kind of very frustrated with the reflections. Now, reflections in cars can be beautiful and part of that whole aesthetic, but sometimes you do not want, like, you don't want your own reflection in the car when you're taking a portrait. So I appreciate what that guy told me. And so, yeah, I'm always learning and growing, using new equipment, and I think I'm going to start to bring more stuff out there. So now I bring 2 bodies. I have multiple focal lengths that I can utilize. I brought a reflector at the last car show. So my dad actually went with me, and he was my little photo assistant. Yeah, if you actually look at one of the videos that I uploaded of Donnie, or maybe it was just a story, I can't remember now, because I haven't developed his plates yet. But you can see like my dad moving the reflector, and because the sun is only on one side, and then he shined a silver reflector on the other side, because contrast is kind of difficult with the analog and the tin types, because there's only so many stops of light difference across like a face that it can really tolerate without losing detail in the shadows or the highlights, which is the same for any type of photography, but you can't fix it in post. It's a photograph on metal. Like, you can't. So it's just you have
whatever you get is what you get.
Exactly. It's the truth. Whatever's on that plate is the truth. So I'm starting to bring reflectors. I may even start to bring my flash out to the car shows and see what I can come up with too. So I enjoy the flash, but I want to practice it like more. I used it. I could show you like after we finish. I used it on a photo shoot that I went to a parking deck, and I brought out these lights. Yeah.
I brought out like I have like a small, maybe like 12 or 18 inch like light that is like I don't know what to call it. It's like one of those. Like,
is it a light bar?
Yeah, it's a light bar that you can change the colors on it. So I played with the different colors, and I put it like on the wheel inside the car, and then when I shot, it gave me like this crazy. It's one of my best photo shoots that I think I've done so far. But
ooh, I want to see that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, man, this is really cool.
Yeah, those light bars, like, I think that can unlock a whole new level of photography with cars. It
just gives you more creative like power when you're doing the shoot. So I wanted to like practice with that. I tried to use it when I did my wife and I like reveal, when we were saying that we were having a girl.
Oh.
So I set up here, and I set up everything, and then I tried to use like the pink and purple light.
Yeah.
And then I pulled these lights up, so it came out pretty cool.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's all sorts of different things that you can use. I have a light bar, but it's not very powerful. So I've used it before. That whole photo series is also on my Instagram.
Oh, really?
Steven, I met him in his, oh goodness, am I going to get this right? His Nissan 300 ZX, is that right?
That's my favorite car.
Okay.
Of all time.
Well, with the driver's seat that's on the right side.
His right-hand drive?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I met him at the Speedway, and his dad. I have this like sixth sense about people. So he was like the first person that I photographed on that day. And so I'm just walking around, and then I see this guy in this like straw hat with like a red band, and he's wearing like a linen shirt, and he's walking with his dad, and he just had this vibe about him. And I'm like, hey, would you mind if I took your photograph? And then I said, do you have a car here? And then he shows me that car. I had never seen a car like that. I mean, I'm not too familiar with cars. Like I said, I'm learning more each day. And then I was like, oh man, like the driver's seat is on the right side. Yeah. I didn't know you could drive those things around here. And then we did a photo shoot out in Clover. So,
around this area.
Yeah. And there's this cool back road. It's kind of by, those Boiling Springs water towers. We did a photo shoot there, which was really cool at sunset. And then there's a road that's kind of close to there that I guess maybe at some point in time is going to be turned to some industrial area, but there are no buildings.
And then there's like grass in the middle?
No, it's just like a paved like asphalt road. It kind of goes like in a U shape. And there are no buildings, there are no cars, there's no traffic because it just dead ends all back there.
So have you had any mentors or like YouTube videos and stuff like that you watched in order to get into photography? Or how did you get like into that niche?
Well, I'm kind of a little bit older, so when I started photography, like the way that social media exists today, that did not exist back then. YouTube was like barely a thing. And so I went and actually got a degree in photography is what I did. So, yes. So I have a degree, a Bachelor of Arts in photography. So that took me, 3 years to do? So,
a degree? Wow, interesting.
Yeah. So I have a degree in that, and we went over pretty much everything you could ever dream of as far as photography is concerned. I think these days that isn't the way that people can and should go about it because there are so many resources available, but at that time there wasn't. You couldn't just go to Instagram and be like, oh, I wonder how people are doing this type of photography, or do a Google search and find a million different photographers doing a million different things. It just wasn't like that. So this was in the like mid 2000s. So to age myself, but so if any of you all remember what life was like back then, it was not the same as it is today. So
yeah, definitely not.
Yeah. So we kind of had to like make our own way, which I kind of liked. Like I said, I don't think necessarily a degree in photography is the way people should go these days, but back then I kind of almost didn't really have a choice. But I got to experience things that people don't get to experience today. So my school had a dark room. I had never, other than point and shoot cameras, I had never loaded my own film, shot film, and film comes in different sizes, 35 millimeter, 120. There's different types of cameras, Polaroids, large format cameras, 4x5, 5x7, 8x10, medium format digital cameras, which were a huge deal back then. You could get detail and images that me as an average person would never have had access to that. But I did get to check out a camera for free, other than my tuition, of course, and get to experiment with that.
That is super cool. Yeah,
but today, like that medium format camera back then is probably, the equivalent of kind of like my R6 Mark II today.
Yeah.
It was so long ago. But I learned the foundation of photography through school, like anyone would, getting a degree in it. I had an art history class. I had a video class. I had multiple film photography classes, portfolio classes at the very end, where you had a professor who would look over your work and help you refine your work. So I grew a lot as an artist. I started out doing self-portraits and then just regular portraiture. I did this whole series. You can see it on my Instagram if you scroll way down. I'd only just started my Instagram, 2 years ago. But I did this whole series of, this is going to sound funny, headless people. So I did like Photoshop work where it's not gory, it's surreal, where I Photoshopped their heads out and they were like holding balloons. I did all sorts of crazy stuff.
I mean, you got to experiment to see what you're going to like fall under and what you're going to like.
Yeah. So I did that. And then I did traditional portraiture. I did a lot of film work, like I said. So that's kind of how I learned all of that. And that took me 3 years. And then, like I said, I was like, maybe I should actually go and make sure that I can make money and survive. So I finished my degree in science and then I became a science teacher. But we already talked about all of that.
Yeah.
But at the time, I actually didn't know anything about my family's artistic background.
Oh.
So my story is a little bit complex, and I don't want to get too personal, but I didn't actually know at that time that both of my great-grandparents on my dad's side were painters in Germany, and pretty well-known painters in their lifetime.
Uh-huh.
So, so much so that a book has been written about my great-grandmother. So I actually have it. So I could take that out of my bag if I could reach it.
You could just move the mic forward.
I don't know. I just don't want to get it. I don't want... See, I already knocked it. But here, did you want to hold it up? So, yes, it's in German and English. So, that's my great-grandmother. Her name is Irina Ruther Rabinowitz. So her name is hyphenated because her husband, his name was Hubert Ruther, and Rabinowitz is her surname. But so she hyphenated her name. So she, the story behind her is, she actually was one of the first women to be admitted to the art school that she went to in Germany at the time.
Really?
She was an amazing person, hence why a whole book was written about her. So yeah, I didn't always know the history of my family. Long story, complex. But now I do. And yeah, so this book has been written about her. Her story is very compelling, and the period in history in which she lived is also very compelling, because she herself was Jewish, and she was married to a German who was not. And so this was around the time of, the rise of, the Third Reich and everything. And so my great-grandfather was asked to basically divorce her and end that relationship. He refused. They were prevented from creating art because the Nazis thought that their art was degenerate.
Oh, wow.
And if you look at their artwork, now he did some political things. He actually painted Hitler in a couple of his paintings. Mm-hmm. I don't have any of those. Those are in private collection. But her work is just portraiture. She actually painted the Pope at one point in time. She made her living with portraiture. He did landscapes. So yeah, if you flip through there, and you can actually see some of the work that actually hangs up in my house. There's photographs of those paintings that I took that are in that book. But at the end there is her portraiture. And all sorts of different people in German society at that time would seek them out for portraiture. So some kind of more very well-known actresses, actors, just social figures. And you can see her work is...
that is amazing. I love art.
It's gorgeous. The amount of detail, the way that she saw people. She had her own unique eye and unique style. She actually did self-portraits too. So she did one. You can see that in there. I think it's a few pages before that. It's her in a black lace dress. She did it when she was 18. She actually originally painted it without the black lace dress.
And she just added it on there?
Her parents made her do that because at the time in 1918, that was not a thing that you did. And so I actually recreated that painting as a self-portrait. That's also on my Instagram. Nothing inappropriate or anything that's on there, but I now recreate that painting as a self-portrait of me with some aspect of a black lace and the camellia that she's holding. So she's holding a camellia in there, and at least it looks like a camellia anyway. I don't know for sure, but I have a camellia plant in my shrub in my yard, and it was there when I first moved in. But I actually can probably find that in there. But
I was trying to look for the picture that you sent.
Yeah, I thought it was in the back, but I should have marked the page, honestly. But I'm making it a point every year now to recreate that painting as a self-portrait and put my own spin on it every year. So last year I kind of just did the traditional thing, just copied it kind of straight on, just with photography. Bought like a cloth background that kind of almost looks like a painting and just did my own thing. She liked to wear her hair back. I do like my little side braid. And then this year I did it in tintype and also digital too. So tintype will be coming soon. I'm waiting for some new fixer. And then the digital is online. So I still do self-portraiture, which I love. But it's kind of crazy that my great-grandmother painted portraits of people. And here I am, before I even knew really her story, capturing portraits of people with photographs. And so that's like such a full circle moment that you're like, well, what are the odds that I would find portraiture with photography, not even knowing anything about my great-grandparents at the time, but I was drawn to it. Because when I first was drawn to photography, it was kind of like, it was kind of almost like this, it was almost like a sudden, intense, like feeling drive towards that. It was like, this is what you're supposed to do. And that's why I went to photography school, because I was in college doing something different at the time.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. But it was just this thing inside of me that said, I need to go do this. And so I did. And then I did, like I said, I did photography like off and on until I tried to get into it like seriously this summer. But it was so crazy. I randomly found this guy on Instagram who takes painters and he turns their likeness into a piece of artwork with recycled cans, like, you know, like a can of green beans or a big can of tomato sauce or something like that. He takes those cans, he cuts them up, he puts them together, and then he creates a piece of artwork. And so that black lace dress that she's really famous for, he created that out of cans. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, he made my grandmother's likeness out of metal. And here I am, like, photographing
with
metal and on metal. I'm doing tintypes. And, like, I know that some people may think that is, like, not real or something that you should follow. But for me, it's like, that like made me feel like I'm on the right path. Like, this is what I'm supposed to do. And not just that, but every single door that opens, every new car show, every person that I meet, more and more doors open. Like being here today with you, like I never thought I was going to be on a podcast. You know, I just kind of started this car photography journey, and now here I am telling people my story. And I'm so grateful for that. Thank you for inviting me. So
thank you for coming on. I'm sorry for all the like mishaps, and now my throat won't stop like itching. That is an amazing story. The fact that you like kind of like it pulled you to it.
Yeah.
Like towards photography, towards portraits, creating art.
Yeah.
I think is a cool thing that, you know, that you come from such a big history of art and now you're doing the same thing years later.
Yeah. And it's, everybody kind of has this feeling of, you know, where do I come from? Am I living up to what my ancestors, you know, did, the precedent that my great-grandmother set and my great-grandfather? There's a book being written about him right now as well. That's a lot to live up to, you know? Like, where do I fit in as their descendant?
Yeah.
I don't want to look back on my life and think I didn't make them proud, you know, wherever they were or are now. I don't want to think back and think I didn't do the most I possibly could do to create art, to capture people, to make a name for myself. And I'm not trying to get famous or anything. That's not what I mean. I just mean I'm capable of doing so much more than what I was doing before. And I've already made so much progress just in a half year of working seriously and professionally that I can't do anything but keep going and see how far I can go. And I want to publish a book someday. And like, that's my dream. That's my goal. Have a studio, publish a book. Like, that is what I'm going to do.
It's cool because, excuse me, you made such a great improvement in such a short period of time. I can only imagine what you're gonna do in like the next 5 years.
I know.
It's like,
yeah, like
that's exciting to think about.
What are the odds of the first car show that I go to? I'm immediately hooked. I take amazing photographs. People love working with me. I meet Tamsin, and then that opened so many doors for me. She's amazing. Like, what are the odds that that would happen? Like, the very first place I go.
Yeah.
So I just feel like everything is aligning. I feel like that's when you know you're in alignment with, like, kind of what the universe wants you to do. You know, whatever you believe in, whether you believe in God or the universe or nothing, I still feel like there are paths that feel better going down because that's where you're supposed to go, because that's where you're going to make the most of yourself.
Yeah.
And this is absolutely where I'm supposed to be.
So what are some technical mistakes that you see beginners make that you want to like point out at?
I have to, sometimes answering questions like this maybe can be a little bit of a delicate thing.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to disparage people who are trying to work and learn. Because photography, yeah, you can maybe be born with a good eye, but there are so many technical things to learn about it. But honestly, I think it's just not understanding light. I think there's a fundamental gap of understanding of what photography actually is that I think every photographer could benefit from understanding. So because technology exists in the way that it does now, it's so easy just to pick up, you know, your phone or a digital camera of some kind and just take pretty decent photographs. Because on the phone, there are all sorts of different things that are happening with the computer in the phone to make your photographs better that aren't necessarily a true representation of the light that exists in that photograph, in the world that you're taking, you know, taking the picture of. And digital cameras, same. So I think maybe just not understanding the fundamentals of light and the fundamental settings of the camera, like aperture and shutter speed and ISO and all of those things. And I think if you start with those foundational basic things, even, I know that not everybody can do analog work, but part of me wishes, like, in a perfect world, like, everybody could start with analog so they could actually naturally read a scene and light. And I'm not saying that digital photographers can't do that. Of course they can. But I think maybe almost starting more foundational with more historical processes might kind of help open up your work to new levels instead of having to fix things in post. There was this thing that I know that photographers talk about all the time now, back in college, and it was like, it was the chimping thing where you're constantly looking on the back of your camera and they're like, oh, I'll just fix it in post, you know, I'll just fix it in Photoshop later. And I always hated that mindset. So I think if you can focus on taking really good photographs, having your fundamentals down, learning how to really read light, differences and stops, you know, different times of day, not relying on filters in Lightroom or Photoshop work, like actually really trying to find the best angle, the best shot, like designing and thinking about it from the very beginning, if that makes sense.
So in your opinion, you think, excuse me, the upcoming photographers and people that have been doing it for a while that kind of get stagnant, they should focus more on like shooting versus just editing, like practice the eye, like get the eye first and then the editing will become easier?
Well, yeah, because let's think about where we are now with technology. We have AI that's capable of taking just an everyday image of you and creating wild, outlandish portraits of you.
Right.
I've had clients take my photos of them and they'll feed those into AI with them in their car, and them in their car doing wild things like flying through space and stuff, which that's cool. That's fine.
Yeah.
But you can just take a non-professional image of you in your car, put it through AI, and now you have like a cool photo that you can like post online and people are going to think looks cool. But so photographers, I think, are having to battle against AI, and I'm sure this is just something that people talk about all the time, but how are you going to set yourself apart? How are you going to take authentically good photographs that people can't just ask AI to create? You have to make sure that you can, battle the computer and win, right? Yeah. And I think part of that is understanding light and honestly almost trying to teach your clients too, and teach the world about, not that everybody has to shoot this way, but just natural light. People can tell when something is faked, or that that natural light, that they can tell when a photograph is off. Yeah. Like, that doesn't look like that actually exists in the world that way.
Right.
And I'm not saying that photography is wrong. That's just the type of photography that I do. So I think just authenticity. The more authentic you can make it, although there is a market for really doctored car photos and things like that. Like I said, that's not wrong.
Picture perfect, as they say.
That's not wrong, but that's just not the type of work that I do. Yeah.
So, with that being said, like, what camera are you using now, and what made you like pick up that brand and for the work that you do?
The very first digital camera that I ever got was a Canon Rebel way back in college. I love that little camera to learn on, but now I have a professional mirrorless, so I'm still Canon. I'm Canon all the way.
Let's go. Represent.
Now, have I had a lot of experience with like Nikons and stuff and Sony? No. Do I want experience with those? No, because I love my Canon. So I actually
all right, Canon, go ahead and sponsor us.
Yeah,
okay?
I mean,
we're using
come on
Canons
now.
here.
Yes.
She's a Canon photographer.
Yeah.
Let's get it.
I'm a Canon bro, like, all the way. I heard another creative say something about this, and I won't say who they are because I'm not trying to like say anything bad about them, but I personally think that different camera brands have their strengths and their weaknesses and are better for certain things. I personally think that Canon, their cameras, their lenses are better for portraiture. That's just what I think. My 85mm 1.2L, I don't think that the other lenses that exist at that focal length that can open up that much, that are that fast, they're just not the same. The color rendition is not the same. And you can tell, I feel like you can just tell when somebody is using like Canon
or Sony or...
Yeah. And there are great Sony photographs and things, but honestly, the photographs that I love the most are Canon. Larry Chen uses Canon, and I mean, come on now. Do you need any other like reason why you should be using Canon?
That's a fair point. If you guys don't know who Larry Chen is, then you're living under a rock, especially in the automotive industry. Absolutely. Once you see his photographs, you will be blown away. But I use a Canon R6 Mark II, and I actually have two of them. I dual wield them, and I have 4 different lenses right now. My 85mm 1.2L, I have my 24-105L, and then I have a 16mm for astrophotography whenever I get around to doing that more. Also for bands, that's super cool. Really? Interesting.
Yeah, like the wide angle. There's some really cool photographs of my dad's band actually on my Instagram.
Your dad has a band?
Yes.
Is he like local?
No, and there's a whole story actually with my band, with my dad's band and music.
Like, trying to hook him up with some business. My wife is an event director at a country club, and they always look for band and stuff for like special events.
If only he lived locally. He lives in California, Southern California. That's actually where I'm originally from, is Southern California. Okay. Yeah. Which we can talk about that, because that's a whole thing. Because I actually brought a show and tell item that relates to my dad and his band. Yeah.
Oh, let's see it.
Okay. So my dad he's a baby boomer. He's 75. So he has seen a lot of things. And and hopefully he doesn't get upset at me that I told everybody his age, but it kind of helps with the context of his story. So, first of all, he's in a band with 7 people.
Okay.
And they say that I'm the 8th member because I'm the photographer, so which I really like. Pretty good pedigree of people in the band, people that they know, length of time in the music industry. They play for fun, but they play at bars and stuff like that. They're actually really good. Their lead singer writes the lyrics and stuff. But my dad went to high school in London. He grew up in Detroit, but my grandfather worked for GM, actually. So I have a history with cars and stuff, too, in my family. My grandfather was an engineer for GM.
Okay.
And so that's why they were in Detroit. And my grandfather got a job to go to London. And so my dad went his last couple years of high school in London. And he went to school with a bunch of, like, military brat kids, you know? Because my grandparents wanted him to go to school, I guess, like, more of an American education because that's where he came from. And so he happened to be friends with the band America, the people that would go to form that band. So I actually brought one of their albums. So this is, and if y'all don't know who America is, they wrote like A Horse with No Name and Ventura Highway, and they have really other hits and stuff too. So this actually is an album that they credited my dad for inspiration on. He actually went to high school with them and was friends with them and traveled around, worked for the band as when they first got started in the early 70s. So my dad also plays guitar and piano and all that kind of stuff. But so he has like connections to like rock and roll history and all sorts of things. He has a million different stories. He would be like a good person to have a podcast with. But yeah, so my dad's band, he's still into music to this day, and so I photographed them and all that stuff. But 16 millimeter is perfect for bands, especially if you have 7 people.
Yeah,
how are you going to get all of those? Like, there's a really cool shot of me like shooting up and then they're all in a line like this, and it just, you can't get that without the 16 millimeter.
Yeah.
And then my other lens is just the RF 50 millimeter 1.8. I eventually want to get the L 50 millimeter 1.2 and the 35 millimeter L, but you know, those are thousands of dollars each.
Yeah,
so
they sure are.
It's gonna be a minute. It's gonna be a minute. That's like, it's my dream goals right there.
To have those lenses, the collection.
Oh yeah, because prime lenses are where it's at. I'm sorry, I'm gonna like die on that hill. Like I love the versatility of my 24 to 105, but it cannot do what the prime lenses can do.
No, especially with the aperture.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that 24 to 105 I have is f4.
Yeah.
That was a struggle at the auto show, not gonna lie. But I was so glad that I had it. It does what it needs to do, but gosh, I wish that I was Larry Chen and I could have the 28 to 70 2.0.
Nice. That's
that would be lens. Perfect. But you know,
that's my go-to to get like better, not better, but like with lower aperture lenses. That's why I was using like the 16 there and the 24 there, because it's like 2.8, so it lets in so much light with the ND filter. It looks great in here. Absolutely. Yep. So that's where it's at. What gear do you think is overhyped by people? Overhyped. Like one specific piece of gear. Gosh, there are so many tools that a photographer can use, you know? So we had talked a little bit about, you know, reflectors and flashes and things. I don't know. I guess I get advertised to a lot on Instagram about just little gizmos and things, but I don't really watch them. So I honestly don't really know what things people are using. I know there's a lot of cheaper lighting out there that maybe doesn't necessarily look as good. And, you know, LEDs are really popular. I'm not a studio photographer, so I'm not an expert on that sort of thing. But I don't know, is there anything that you've heard of people using where you're like, why are they doing that? Now that I think about it, it's kind of hard to answer that question.
Yeah, because there's so many different tools at your disposal as a photographer, right? Like a simple reflector, which doesn't even have to be like an official piece of photographic equipment. It could literally be a piece of foam or, something like that.
In my opinion, I think underrated is probably like a flash.
Yeah.
Like I see a lot of people that don't use a flash with photography, but that's something that like that was one of my questions. Like for you, like flash photography versus like natural light. Like, what is your opinion on that?
There's absolutely nothing wrong. I just want to make sure that your audience knows that I'm not talking negatively about different types of photographers that do other work. Like, I'm not elitist at all. I don't think like only natural light or it's not photography or anything like that.
It's like personal preference.
Yeah, my personal preference is natural light.
Okay.
I think there's so much that you can do, even bringing in a reflector or just taking advantage of certain environments. Like, especially when you're talking about cars, right? Mm-hmm. The light bouncing off of cars, the reflections. There are so many different variables there, even just using natural light. But I don't think, like I said before, I'm not really sure how well beginning photographers, or maybe even the average photographer, how good they are at just reading the natural light. The photography started just, that's all you had, right? You had the environment. You could shoot indoors, but your exposures were going to be like minutes long.
Yeah.
Before flashes existed.
Uh-huh.
But those photographers could walk into an environment and immediately know, like, this is how long I need this exposure to be. When the sun moves this way, this much, this time of day, I know it needs to be this. An hour later, I know it needs to be that. In the shade, not in the shade, cloudy. I think that's an underrated skill. I'm not even sure if the average photographer even would know how to do that. Like if they were given a film camera or something like that, like what exposure do you think you should actually use in this particular scene? I'm not really sure because of the technology. And like I said, I'm not disparaging anyone. I actually honestly wonder what the answer to that question is. Do people actually think that way? The average photographer, even professional photographers, or do they just let the camera make the decision for them?
Yeah, that's a good, like a lot of people ask me, they're like, oh, how do you shoot, or how should I start shooting? And not to skip over that one question, but like the most thing that I get asked, what camera should I buy? And I asked them, I was like, are you really into it, or you just want a camera to say you have a camera? Because honestly, just stay with your phone. Your phone does good enough for what you're posting. If you're really into it and want to learn, then get a camera, because there's a lot that goes with it. There's a lot of knowledge for you to learn. Like your phone is good enough just to like post on Instagram.
Yeah.
But if you really want to like learn about photography, or you're doing it for like you want to make it a business, and you want to improve and you want to create your own art, I say yes, get a camera, but don't spend the money, because there's a lot of time and skill that goes behind having a digital camera or analog. Yeah.
Well, you don't have to spend I don't want to like throw out numbers of how much all my equipment costs, but it's expensive.
Yeah, it's not a cheap hobby.
You don't have to spend that kind of money to make great photographs.
Yeah.
Like I said, I started off on a Rebel and I created like amazing photographs, and that was even before the resolution of cameras was really good way back. It's not even necessarily about resolution. People get all tripped up on how many megapixels their camera has, like the difference between the R6 and the R5. But that's not what makes a great photograph. It's your eye, it's your ability to read the light and to make a compelling image, which compelling can mean different things to different people depending on what your audience is, depending on what you personally like. But you have to find that, and the only way you're going to be able to do that is you can look at photographs that exist out in the world and try to recreate them, or just experiment. Honestly, that's how I learned, is I just went out and shot a bunch, tried all sorts of different types of photography. Like I said, more Photoshop work, photojournalism. I did some street photography. I really liked that. I guess what I do now is portraiture, but it's also kind of lifestyle portraiture. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you just have to go out and shoot, and you can absolutely do that with a simple, cheaper camera. Yeah, you do not have to go spend $3,000 on an 85 millimeter 1.2 out lens.
That's what's stopping me from buying that one.
Yeah.
Because right now I feel like I have a variety. Like I have a 24, 16, and then my camera does the 1.8 crop if I want to crop the sensor, which makes it it makes the 16 like a 30 or 28. And I'm like, that's close enough.
Yeah.
But then like I don't have nothing from far away. So like I think my next step, like to go into the lens world, will probably be like to get like a 70 to 200 like lens. That would be a nice one to like add to the collection. But
Canons is supposed to be really nice.
They are. I mean, I'm gonna get a Canon.
Okay.
All the research, especially to get there's a price difference between the f-stop.4 and the 2.8. Mm-hmm. So the f-stop.4 is like $1,500, but the 2.8 is $2,500 to $2,800 bucks. So like
it's only like a stop difference, but I mean, you can squeeze a lot out of a single stop, right? Difference.
Yeah, it's a huge difference. Like even when I was shooting this podcast with my wife, like the Mental B one, I have the 24 to 105. Yeah. And there's a f-stop.4. And I'm like, I can't. It's been so long since I've been in the studio because we went out to do stuff, and I'm like, I can't remember what lens I was using in here. And then because the one lens goes so low, it's a 2.8, the other one only stops at 4, so I had to crank up the 2.8 to 4 just so I could match the lighting inside the room. Yeah,
you get spoiled with those faster lenses.
Yeah, so I mean, God, there's so much like tech talk and going into it, like it's like a never-ending like topic with it. But I guess the best advice that I would give somebody personally is if you love it and you're trying to improve or make a business and learn, get a camera.
Yeah, a real camera.
Yeah.
If you can.
If not, then I think you should just stick with your phone for like Instagram and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. And there's a lot of things that just iPhones or whatever. Well, I actually don't know anything about like Android cameras or anything. I mean, should we even like mention those? Are those even really a thing? Yeah, no green bubbles. But yeah, there's a lot that you can do with an iPhone. So if you just really want to see if you like creating images, then just use your phone, because you can actually stretch that phone and do amazing things. And there's all sorts of different Instagram channels that you can check out to do that. But then but there are absolutely a million different things that a phone cannot do. And you have to have the proper focal length lens. You have to be able to shoot at a specific aperture, shutter speed. There's just so many different things that you can do. And then if you really, really want to get into it, then you're going to be like, the point that I'm at right now in my career is my 50 millimeter 1.8 is not good enough for me. I want the 50 millimeter 1.2 because I know that the image quality between those two lenses, now that's like a $3,000 difference in between those two lenses ish. But my eye is so attuned to that good quality glass now. It's kind of like a blessing and a curse. You're like, maybe the average person wouldn't be able to tell the difference, but I can. Or maybe they'd be able to look at it and be like, if you put both of those images in front of a person, they would probably pick the L series like image as one that they liked more, right?
Without noticing not even why, and it's because of the lens.
Yeah, not even knowing why, but there's a reason why they're that expensive. It's not just because they want to make money. It's expensive to make, and they can command that price because of the way that they create images. You just can't get that on cheaper glass. And you might be able to reproduce some things in post, but again, I would be very nervous as a modern photographer to overly rely on post, because you might be putting yourself out of a job.
Yeah. Or
overly reliant on AI and computer alterations. So
one thing that I was told when I was starting, and like from looking at videos and stuff on YouTube before I picked my camera, there was like, get a decent camera, and then focus on buying lenses. The body will be okay. You want the glass. You want really good quality glass that will improve or show completely different from anybody else doing the same photography because you have better glass. Like your picture will come out way like crispier, you know, like more refined, and then you could do a lot more with them versus just having cheap glass and an expensive body.
There's a reason why that 85 millimeter is known as like one of the best portraiture lenses. There's a reason why when people look at themselves photographed with that lens, they're like, I look amazing.
Yeah.
Because of the way that it works, like on a full frame camera, and the compression, the focal length, the aperture, like especially if you shoot it wide open, there's just this feeling that you get from that lens. You cannot get that from a cheaper lens. You just can't. And people love that, and people will pay for that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's at a certain point you have to make your product, your brand, almost like an unfair advantage for yourself. Because if you have the better, you know, tools, obviously you're gonna have to stand out some way somehow, so people could keep coming to you as a business. Exactly.
And how do you be able to afford something like that? Well, you have to make money. So there's a reason why photography costs money. And that's a hard lesson that I've had to learn actually about the business since I started, is I've had people take my work. People at car shows have taken my work and they'll post it to their Instagram, even though they didn't pay for the gallery. So I shoot on spec a lot. But I have people sign a model release, so I'm able to post their stuff online, like legally. I tell them that too. I'm not trying to keep anything secret. I'd be like, you know, I'll post your stuff on Instagram, use it as part of my portfolio. If you'd like to buy the images, you can, but you don't have to. But I have had people take it. They'll take screenshots and they'll just use it as their profile picture or make a post on Instagram, and that's theft. You know, there's a reason why I have to charge, because number one, somebody, just a random person on the street, can't just do what I do. Right. There's a reason why photographers get paid money, and it's not just because they have expensive gear. It's experience, it's talent, it's intuition, it's my eye. It's some things I think can be taught, some can't, but just whatever I am as an artist and a photographer, all of those things that are me, that costs money. And if you want great photographs, like you have to pay for that, you know? You have to pay for access to that. So I don't want anyone to also, if they're just getting into photography, to undersell themselves and to just constantly like work for free or undervalue their own work. Because in this age with technology and like just things being so cheap, easy, free, just make sure that you value your own work, your intellectual property, your gifts, and then relay that to clients in a professional way and put yourself out there in a world that says, I'm worth something. Like this is actually worth money and there's a reason for it. So hopefully nobody in your audience is out there taking photographers' work and posting it as their own. But you know, people just don't really think about that too, which is unfortunate. But
because like technically, like a lot of people don't see this, like when you're editing, or you know, like your work doesn't just stop after you start. You're not clicking a button, just taking photos. Like you have to come home, you know, like let's say a photo shoot takes I don't know, an hour session, right? An hour session, because of the sunlight, you got test shots, you got somebody will walk by your picture, or there's so many different reasons. But let's say you take 350 pictures in an hour. Out of those 350 pictures, you got to go home and you got to look through every picture and dissect, or 1,000, and dissect which pictures to your eye match up to the quality that your client is gonna like. After you do that, then you have to edit. Now people think you just like click a button and edits itself. No, you got to go in, you touch up. If there's something on the car, if there's a blemish and somebody's like, oh, can you remove this from here? Or if you're doing something on like a person, like a portrait, like, oh, can you make my skin a lot smoother? There's a point where you can make somebody look plastic, and there's a point where I know that. You know, like you got to find that happy balance, and that doesn't come just like overnight.
No,
you said you've been doing it for a while, so like all of those years of experience you have, that's what they pay for. And a lot of people don't see that. They just think like, oh, she has a camera, take the pictures, I'll have them back next week. Yeah, people don't. It's like that iceberg illusion, right? Where you have the tip of the iceberg that's floating above the water that people see, hard to miss, right? Yeah. But most of the iceberg actually exists underneath the surface. That's the thing. Those are the things that people don't see. I try to explain this to my students all the time. Like, you want that fast track, easy way to the final result, right? But you don't see all of that stuff that's underneath. And just because digital photography seems like it's just a click of a button, it's not. Like, and like I said before, with me personally, you're paying for my experience as a photographer for decades. The fact that I have a degree, the fact that I have a foundation in analog, just my eye, like my family history, who I am as a person, my genetics, right? Obviously, I brought some things from my artistic family history to who I am. I had no control over that, but it's still how I was born, and it's who I am. Yeah. And yeah, that's worth something that's special. But I can take all of those things and I can make somebody else feel and look special. Right? Like you said, like the photos that you took of, what was the guy's name with was it a Bel Air? Anthony? With the green Bel Air, the first guy? Or Bill red, with the Malibu? With the Malibu. Okay. Like, that's, like, you made him feel, like, special, like something, like, clicked, and, like, obviously he sees it from the outside, but he never, like, sees it from a third person. Does that make sense? What me and my dad talk about this a lot, that like it's about being seen. That is at least the type of photography that I do. I don't think all types of photography really make people feel seen, but the specific type that I do, I think that is my gift. When I walk up to somebody, I'm walking up to them because I have a feeling, I have a sense that like there's a story there. And literally every single person I walk up to, there's a compelling story behind them. I can just sense it. Yeah. And the way that I photograph, the way that I talk to people, I truly care about my clients. They feel seen. And that is, that just makes me feel so good that I get to recognize who they are, and I get to see them and fundamentally as a person. That they're seen. Yeah. That's a cool feeling to have. Well, or experience. The reason why I love portraiture too with people is you can pull moments out of people that they wouldn't show somebody else. Yeah. I'm not saying that like I pull the absolute best moments out of every single person I photograph. I'm just saying that the way that I photograph versus the way that you would photograph the same person, it's different. The moments that you would capture, even with the same poses and stuff, just that interaction between the photographer and the client that you have, it's just different. It's like when, those little Instagram videos where people give somebody the same raw footage and then 5 different photographers edit it 5 different ways. Mm-hmm. That same thing applies for portraiture too. And there are moments that you can just get out of people depending on who you are. And that's also worth something, right? Yeah. That's the thing some of my friends that are photographers like talk about. And we had this idea about a video. It hasn't happened yet, but I have it written down. I'm a write down person. Like I write everything down. Yeah. So like we talked about like a video idea for YouTube to get like 5 or 6, like photographers and, a car, mm-hmm. or have like 2 or 3 cars and have them photograph and then like kind of like them judge everybody's like photography just as a learning thing, because like, like you're saying, we could be 5 people. We could take the same pictures and we could edit it completely different. And 100%. The picture will look, it will feel the same. It will look, it will feel different and it will look different. The angles that you can get, the editing, there's so many different things, and that also is a great learning experience for people too, just to see, not to copy what other people are doing, but just like get inspired by that. The thing that kind of like shut me down a little bit when like we tried to do it and I posted about it, people were like, oh, how much you're paying? And I'm like, I'm just doing this so people can see the difference in photography and we can all network and learn. Yeah. Like later, if there's job possibility. Like, yeah, I will hire you to, you know, do something, but like this is just like a network, and a lot of people are like, oh, sorry, I'm not doing it. And I was like, okay, I guess
I'd totally do something like that for free.
I guess you're just in it for the money then, you know. They didn't want to like collab and like do the work, and it'll be a fun project. And I was like, whoever, you know, let's say there's 5 of us. Like, obviously, I'll try not to participate because I got to be doing the video. And, like, as you're shooting, I want to be talking to you, like, asking you questions so viewers can understand what photography is. Because, like, you have the background from photography. I learned this, and I just have the eye of it, and I just love pictures. I love creating moments like you. So I just, like, picked it up. You know, I did a bunch of research on YouTube. And then some of my friends were photographers. I started with my phone. And I have, like, the first gimbal that my sister bought me so I could start doing videos and stuff.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so it's, like, up there on the shelf. And I started doing everything on my phone. I would edit on my phone, like, long format videos for YouTube on my little screen.
Yeah,
and
that's
I got
hard.
a GoPro next.
Yeah.
You know, and then I got into all of this, like, after asking my friends, you're like, hey, what camera do you guys recommend? I got people that use Sony. I got some that use Canon.
Yeah.
I, like you.
We're Canon bros.
I love the coloring from, like, Canon. So, like, that's what made me decide to go with Canon. So I bought my first camera. And
well, even your
just
candid shots of you and your family, like, that's actually great photography. I love looking at your stuff. So you definitely have that eye.
So, like, even when I do, like, let's say videos or reels and stuff, I feel like I'm more of a storyteller.
Yeah.
I love telling stories, like, you know, with the photos, or, like, even when I'm shooting a video, like, I don't know, like, it just starts going in my head, and I feel like, oh, man, this is so cool. Like, you know, you get to create all of this and capture the moment and put it into one, and then once it becomes a final product, everybody's like, dude, that is sick.
That's an incredible feeling when it all comes together like that.
For me, like, storytelling is more than just taking a shot.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I go to car shows, I get a lot of pictures, like thousands of pictures, and I sit there and I look through it, and it doesn't feel the same as if I'm telling a story with a picture.
Yeah.
So sometimes I don't even post them. I got pictures there that I have never posted just because of I don't have like that. It's like I went and took some pictures. I'll post 1 and 2 of a cool car, but it's not the same thing as storytelling.
I mean, you can get a huge following just posting really insane pictures of cars, and again, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if that doesn't drive you, like if that doesn't make you feel compelled to create more, then, and that does for some people, and that's great. We need people that do that kind of work. But if that doesn't compel you to move forward, then leave that work for somebody that it does. Another cool thing that happened to me is, speaking of photographing people and cars, is one of the photographers that I met at a car show. He always says complimentary things to me. Very cool dude, and he creates his own amazing work. And he was like, hey, I actually started taking pictures of people too. I started doing portraiture. And I was like, that's amazing, you know? And he was like, oh, I'm not copying you or anything. And I'm like, I don't think he's like copying me in a bad way. Like I said, there's hardly anyone doing this work. I've never even met somebody, but that felt so cool to me because I inspired somebody else to put their spin on people and car portraiture. So I don't feel threatened by that at all, because he is going to go and create his own vision. And I saw some of the stuff that he did. I never would have photographed those same people the way that he did, because he's a unique artist and has a unique eye and has a unique relationship between people and his clients. And I love that. I think we need more of that. Think about, like, at the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Yeah.
How many, close to 1,000 cars show up to that, like, every month, right?
Yeah, it's pretty
every
big.
Single one of, we'll just say it's 1,000. Every single one of those 1,000 cars has an owner and a story that's just waiting to be told. And it doesn't even have to be just the classics people. I happen to be drawn to the classics. I'm not opposed to other cars. That's just kind of where my eye goes. But yeah, there are so many untold stories out there. I can't possibly tell them all. Yeah. So yeah, feel free to get out there and do your own thing and put your own spin on it. Like younger people, because I feel like I'm kind of old, but like super young people, that car culture is way different than the classics car culture, right?
Definitely is.
And I don't know if I could bring out the same kind of compelling photographs of that culture as I can the classics. I mean, I'm not saying that I couldn't, but the way that I see that is probably going to be way different than somebody who's more closer to that culture and that age bracket. But I don't know if anybody's doing that work either. I just haven't seen it, or at least Instagram hasn't advertised it to me. But I would love to see that kind of work too. So
to me, it sounds like you're like, knowledge is, I always say knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And for you, like, the more like you could inspire somebody to do what you're doing, like, the better it is.
yeah.
Like, I've met people that done photography, but they like to gatekeep, and it's like,
I know that. Yeah.
it's like, why? Like, I'm not gonna take, like, like you said, this, let's say Cars and Coffee, for example, is like 1,000 cars, 1,000 drivers, you know, like, everybody's gonna have a different style of like, we could, like, we're going back to the same thing, like, we could shoot the same car, get different feelings, different photos, different editing style of the same car.
Exactly.
So, like, if you could share a tip, if I know something that could help you improve that I made a mistake on, and, you know, that I've had to learn, and you might could take it and put your own spin to it, like, more power to you. Like, I would love, that's why I, you know, I do all of this stuff.
Yeah, or just inspire somebody.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I'm a teacher in my day job, is because I love talking to people about things that I'm passionate about, and I'm passionate about art and science. That's also why I love the analog work, because it's a combination of art and science together. Because photography really is like a physics and chemistry based art.
Yeah.
At least at its fundamental, like, you know, origin, it is. It's still physics based, but it's obviously more electronic now. But it started out as physics and chemistry, which is perfect for me because I teach both of those things. But yeah, I want to see more great art out there. It's really tough on Instagram because you see a lot of just manufactured stuff, you know, that's not to say that it's wrong, like I said, but I just want to see more authenticity in the world that we live in with AI. And I think maybe also because I do teach high school, and there's a lot of ChatGPT written essays and stuff like that kids are trying to pass off as their own work. You're like, but who are you? I want to know who you are. I want to know what you're curious about. I want to know what you know. I want to see you. And I think even in a world of like social media, I think authenticity is somehow still lost, because also people don't put out their authentic self, right? They try to be something else. Yeah, they want to follow a trend, and like, oh my goodness, I'm not sure how you feel about this. I'm actually interested in hearing your opinion on photographers and reels versus carousels on Instagram, because when I first started my Instagram, it was private, and even though it was Jessamine Photography, which, by the way, Jessamine is the South Carolina state flower. My name is Jessica. It kind of just like felt like it went together. And the Jessamine vine is also toxic, and I thought that was kind of cool because it was like beautiful and toxic. I'm not a toxic person, but I just thought that imagery was really cool. And
I was wondering, and I was like, that can't be her name. But then I went on your and I was reading your bio, and I was like, oh, okay, it's Jessica. And I was like, I was going to ask you about how you came up with the name. Yeah, some people think that Jessamine is my name, but no, it's the Carolina Jessamine that's the South Carolina state flower. But I just was trying to like generate ideas of, I didn't want to use my name because I feel like that's just not me. I mean, my name is important, but there's a long story there too. But I just didn't want my name to be the identity. I wanted to separate it out. You wanted it to be its own thing. Yeah. Its own, like, identity. Yeah. I also am not really a fan of my first name. It's a very classic, like, 80s baby name. And I'm like, Jessica, I don't know. Like, I didn't want that. So I decided on Jessamine, and I really liked that because I live in South Carolina. I'm not originally from South Carolina, but you know, I love living here. Yeah. I love the car culture and this you know, the good parts of the Southern culture and the people down here, and I want to capture that, and I just liked that. And I love magnolias too. They're beautiful. I'm sure somebody trees. That's from down here, they will appreciate that. They know the history about the flower. Yeah. So I'm sure like people will be like, oh, that's really cool that I tell people all the time. Yeah. that you use that as your name for a business.
Yeah.
That's very clever, though.
Yeah.
Actually, that's really cool.
I feel like we started out somewhere else in that, and I was going to circle back to something, but now I cannot remember.
I'm sorry.
No, that's totally fine. I wanted to tell you about the Jessamine thing, though, at some point in time. But in the end, it's about creating art. There are so many compelling stories out there. Be you. There's a quote by Oscar Wilde where he says something to the effect of, be yourself. Everybody else is taken.
Yeah.
Like, you'll be surprised at how far you can get by leaning into who you genuinely are. And if you don't know who that is, you can do some work to try to figure that out. And then if you translate that into art, imagine like all of the like creative, unique things that you can do if you actually truly understand yourself, or use art as a way to learn to understand yourself or other people. Not that you only have to take pictures of people. I mean that loosely. Like, you don't have to literally take portraits of people. It's not what, like, everybody does not have to be me. You can do your own thing.
Like, everybody could express. You trying to say everybody could express their art like in their own way.
Exactly.
It could be photography. It could be sports. It could be I'm a car enthusiast. It could be in your car. It could be drawing. There's so many different ways to express art. It's just whatever drives you.
Exactly.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
Whatever drives you to, make that your art, and then you will be like surprised how far it will take you.
Yeah. Don't necessarily chase trends. Figure out who you are and chase that.
Yeah.
That's the hard part. That's the hard work, is figuring out who you actually are.
Even till this day, I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm still learning. It's still a learning. Like, I have like an idea of where I want to be. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm doing this and like chasing it, like of getting to talk to people, put as many people's stories out there. So everybody has a story, and I think all the stories deserve to be heard.
I agree.
That's why this platform exists, of What's Your Drive.
Yeah.
So
100% behind you on that.
So I want to ask you, how did you land your first client when you first started?
My very first paying gig. You want me to tell who the client was and everything? And
I mean, if you like, or you want to keep like just. You can keep the name out of it if you don't want to mention it.
I mean, I honestly, no, that's fine.
Okay.
Like I said, I've been doing photography for decades, but only just recently decided I want to make this a business. And even when I went to that first car show, mm-hmm. Obviously I was hooked and I wanted to do more car photography, but I didn't know until after the end of that show and like Tamsin approached me that I was like, oh, wow, I actually can potentially make money on that.
Yeah.
And my first actual paid gig was her car and air show.
Oh, at the airstrip.
Mm-hmm. That was my first paid gig. And hopefully she actually listens to this, because it's kind of emotional for me, because I've gone through, like, it feels like so many different lifetimes in my life, so many different periods of my life. And like I said, everything just felt like that was where I was supposed to be. So the morning before I drove up there, I was like, oh my goodness, I gotta drive like an hour and a half, which is great, that's fine. But I was feeling so emotional because somebody saw my value.
Yeah.
They put a number on it. And that it was so overwhelming to me that I was like, what I'm doing matters so much that somebody wants to pay me to do it. That means something.
That is a great feeling to have.
Yeah, and maybe some people, kind of like more like punk rock commercialization, just do art for art's sake. You don't need to get paid for it. But like, for me, that was a turning point for me personally and as an artist. Like, not that I'm only worth X amount of dollars, but she wanted me to cover her event. She wanted to compensate me for that. I was worth that to her. And I'm worth that to other, businesses and clients. And that opened doors and allowed me to build up confidence and to continue to make money. But I had to just sit there silently for a few minutes and be like, this is me. This is me now. Somebody wants to pay me for my eye, for my skill, for everything that I am. And that it was so important to me, that moment. Yeah. I'm still emotional thinking about it, because Yeah.
looking at how emotional you are, like, it makes me really think about, like, when we went to the auto show. Mm-hmm. Like, I've known Tansus for a few years now.
Yeah.
You know, because of the car stuff, she's hosted events, and I went and, like, raced events that she, like, hosted. And then I started this podcast, and then the fact that she wanted us, like, me to be, like kind of like the official podcast for it.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to do it for the longest. I just, in my head, you know, like, I was busy with work. We just had the baby. And then my wife and my best friend, Chris, he was like, bro,
Yeah.
please take the opportunity. You just never know. Mm-hmm. The day that you saw me there, that I don't know if it was the last day. There was a day I got home at 5 a.m. I slept until 7, took a shower, and went. And I worked all day and then came home and edited all night. And then I had to go back to work.
Yeah.
So, like, that just showed me, they were like, okay, if you put your foot forward, this is what you're supposed to be doing. And then that's what pushed me to even get, like, another camera, more equipment. And
yeah.
I was like, oh, I remember, you know, like, your name, Jessamine, from the Instagram. And then I was like, I'm always, like, I'm a shy person. Like, I'm not a person to start a conversation. If somebody talks to me, like, I'll talk to them. But my wife was like, start messaging people.
Yeah.
And she helped me come up with, like, that message that I send you.
Oh, really?
To, like, invite people, you know, over to be part of the podcast.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm just going to ask. Or they could just say no if they're not busy, or if they're too busy to do it.
I don't know why anyone would say no.
But yeah, it's led me to this, and it's led me to, like, okay, I'm doing the right thing with the podcast.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like, at one point, I just felt, like, stagnant. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. Because, you know, comparison, looking at people on social media. And I'm like, am I really doing the right thing? And just the fact that I went over there and do that, like, I'm very grateful, you know, and it kind of gave me the confidence, like you said, to, like, keep doing this more and wanting to do it more and putting people's story out there. So I think it's kind of cool that we, like, had, like, a similar experience, especially with Tansen. Shout out to you. Thank you so much. I know.
Like, she's such an amazing person. I mean, she knows so many different people in the industry, and she's just so special and amazing. Like, how she can just look at somebody and see their value maybe before you even realize it yourself. Yeah. Like, she has that skill, and I just love her for it.
Same.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. So Samson, if you're watching this again, thank you. You like, look, we didn't know each other.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like, we probably would have ran into each other at Cars and Coffee, but like, you know, we met through how everything happened, you know, through the show. Exactly. And now we're here. Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
I don't think I had finished that loop before, but speaking of that, you don't necessarily have to use this, but my cable release broke when I was shooting at Knowledge Perk. And so I had to hand, like, trigger the shutter.
How do you do
even
it?
At like, bulb time.
Like, is it out front?
Yeah, the lens. The lens is on the front, and so I had to, you know, cock the shutter, and then I had to hit the shutter release. But I had to, like, you know, you have to, like, make sure that you're in a specific position to access the shutter release. And then I was shooting, like, bulb sometimes, where I was shooting, like, 2 seconds, and so you have to hit the shutter release and then, you know, let go of it. And all of that, of course, is going to, like, shake the camera.
I was about to say, without shaking the camera.
Well, I know that those exposures are probably not tack sharp, and I was still doing my testing phase. So okay. I just need to look at the actual exposure. But again, I don't know if you want to include this, but
I'll include it.
Okay. Speaking of analog, though, and this is actually kind of cool. So people that are into photography may not necessarily know that there are a whole bunch of, like, alternative processes that they can do. Cyanotypes and salt prints and, you know, wet plate, which is kind of very dangerous. Dry plate tintype's what I do. You can take photographs on glass, like all sorts of crazy things that you can do. Pinhole photography.
So I did have a question now that you mentioned like the different type of photography. You just because I feel like you have the knowledge on it.
Okay.
Like, what is it about the red room? Like, when they go into the red room and they put it on the, like, is it the dark room?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, like, what is it about being in the dark room to develop the film versus, like, in a room of light?
Yeah. So we can actually talk about this through the lens of my tintypes. So I order my tintypes through this company called Zebra Dry Plates. They're actually in Slovenia. Oh, wow. They're a great company. So they used to hand pour the emulsion on the plates, but now I think they're using like a machine to do it. Mm-hmm. But the emulsion that they pour on there is only sensitive to certain wavelengths of light. So it's not sensitive to red light. So it's something called orthochromatic emulsion, which means that it's not sensitive to like all the colors of the rainbow. So sensitive to like blues, UV light, some violet, not sensitive to like red and orange and stuff.
So that means like if the picture has those colors in it, can it still print them?
See, that's the thing with the experimenting of the plates and photographing different like lighting conditions, different colors of cars and clothing and stuff, because those are going to present differently. So a dark or a red vehicle will probably print like pretty black, other than because it's not sensitive to that.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's part of the testing too in cars and stuff. I photographed Donnie and his Maverick, which was like a burnt orange. So I'm super like pumped to see how that turned out, because I don't know what that color is going to actually look like.
Right.
Because, you know, there are different wavelengths of light that are bouncing off of that paint. Mm-hmm. And then you have reflections and all sorts of different things. So how is it going to look on tintype? I don't know.
Interesting.
But now all film isn't like that. So this isn't actually film. It's a photographic emulsion that's poured onto metal, basically. Film is a little bit different. But so film, like traditional, like 35 millimeter film would be, sensitive to all the wavelengths of light. But for this particular medium that I'm using, I can load my plates in red light. I can turn my red light on and do all of my developing and fixing in the red light, because it's not going to do anything, because the plates are just literally not sensitive to those wavelengths of light. So it's actually really cool. But you can't do that with all types of photographic medium. But with that you can. So that's also another layer of learning how to use these. You can't just put the tintype plate into the holder, be like, oh yeah, this is 1/4 of a second, at f5.6, perfect. Well, you have to think about so many different things. First of all, the time of day. Different amount of UV happens at different times of day.
Right.
The exposure is going to be different with the sun low in the sky versus high in the sky.
Do you have like a meter that tells you like an estimate? Is it estimate? Yeah, like a kind of like a range of where it is at that time?
Yeah, I have to go back to my old like photo school days of getting a light meter, but that light meter is reading all wavelengths of light. Oh. It's not just reading UV or the wavelengths of light that the plate is sensitive to. So I can use it as a guide. I can say, okay, on the shadow side, it's this. On the light side, it's that. Maybe I want to bring up the shadow side with a reflector, try to get the contrast down a little bit or something like that. So it's useful, but the meter reading almost never is the actual exposure that I would use. And also, speaking about like photography nerd stuff, my meter only goes to ISO 3, but my plates are in ISO 2. Meaning it takes a lot of light to get those things to, like record the image. Yeah. So, that's why exposures can reach the minutes like indoors without access to a lot of that light. But yeah, so that just takes a lot of testing. And talk about understanding light in a new way, right?
Yeah.
Reading a scene in UV versus reading a scene in visible light spectrum. It's different. Yeah. Talk about like working on your foundational knowledge, right?
And that overall, like when you're doing those kind of photos, it will also improve like the digital side, because now you have a different understanding of how the light works, and then you can apply it to further, your photography or videography. That's really cool. And
vice versa. That's why I love it. Like I'm not going to give up one or the other. I'm going to do both, and both are going to feed each other.
Right.
And help me grow as an artist.
That's really awesome. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's why like unfortunately, a lot of photographers, they just don't know anything about any of the analog processes. And it's expensive, and I know that not everybody can do it. But if you have the chance to explore it and experiment with it, super cool.
I would love to, like, when you're shooting, like, at least, like, look through the lens to see, like, some of the stuff you're talking about. Because, like, everything I've learned has been, like, videos online,
Yeah.
trial and error, me shooting, like learning from like a blurry picture and how to not take a blurry picture.
Yeah.
How to let in more light, with the lenses and stuff like that. It's just been trial and error. I've never had like the opportunity to see any other type of photography.
Yeah. Well, I mean, definitely like come down to Cars and Coffee sometime. And this goes for anybody watching. If you want to come see how like old school photography was done and how large format photography is done, come watch. You can look on the ground glass. So the ground glass actually displays the image the way that the medium is going to capture it.
Oh,
and
cool.
so the light will go through the lens, right? And then it will hit that ground glass. And then that's why you have to put that little dark cloth over your head to make it dark enough so you can actually see the little bit of light that's coming through the lens and hitting the glass. You want to be blown away and like lose your breath just thinking about photography on a different level. Look through the ground glass on a large format camera with a 10x loop where you're magnifying the individual lashes on a person's eye through the back of the camera.
What?
That
is sick.
So I was photographing Donnie at the last Cars and Coffee event at Knowledge Perk. And I'm shooting my 8x10 reduced to 4x5. So 8x10 is almost the size of a printer sheet of paper, right? Mm-hmm. That's a huge photographic medium.
Yeah.
Like usually that's like the large format like caps out for the average person at that. If you want to buy a camera that can shoot bigger, that's like a way special order that you would have to
Is this to shoot analog, right?
Analog, yeah.
Okay.
You can buy
when you say, I thought that camera turned on.
No. You can buy like a. I can't remember what it was. One of my photographer friends sent me this. It was like, gosh, I think it might have been like a 16x24 large format camera for like $11,000 or I don't even know.
I'm okay, thanks.
Each box of film was like $1,200 for like 20 sheets or something. I can't even remember. Like it was insane. Someday I hope to do that. That would be so cool. But even with that camera reduced to 4x5, 4x5 inches, I could take my little 10x loop, which magnifies the image 10 times. I could literally see his individual lashes in the back of that ground glass on an image that's only 4x5.
That's amazing.
Now, if you can like nail focus and like capture somebody's likeness like that on those plates, that's why those things are so special, because the amount of detail, the resolution at which those plates exist, if you can get that image in focus, it's almost like an otherworldly experience when you look into it too, because the image kind of presents almost like three-dimensionally, because it's a physical chemical like medium. It's not like a flat 2D printed picture. The way light actually moves through that emulsion and back up into your eye, it just hits you differently. And that goes for kind of every little analog process.
I'm super excited to try to make it a Cars and Coffee.
Yeah,
I want to see this in person.
But we'll zoom in on some. Well, you can use my 10x loop and you can zoom in on somebody's eyelashes and just be blown away.
It's
amazing.
So
just
wild.
Seeing the ground glass image, even if you don't want to explore that type of photography, it's a feeling that you can't get anywhere else in photography, period. Yeah. And if you haven't experienced it, you have to someday. And it's so cool because the last Charlotte Motor Speedway Cars and Coffee that I went to, there was a family that stopped their little SUV on their way out. And the dad was like, "Hey kids, this is how photography was done back in the day." And the kids were just like on the little window, in the back seat being like, "Whoa, that's so cool." And then I like told them a little bit about the history and stuff. And the family just thought it was totally amazing, right? They get to see how the beginnings of photography and how things were done before it was super easy and fast. And that's important too.
Yeah.
I love educating anywhere I can, not because I want to be pedantic or anything, but I love it. I love the feeling when people understand and they feel good because they know something on a different level, you know?
Have you ever thought about putting on like a crash course of like where photography started, showing them, you know, like your other style of photography versus where it is digitally, like in the future? Have you thought about doing something like that?
You mean just like a reel or something?
No, like actually having people come, like let's say like when you
like
have
a workshop.
Yeah, like a little workshop, you know, like having the day where you're like, hey, let me just, you know, host this, have 10 guests where I could like show them like where photography came from, and then where it is, explain to them about lighting. And
that's
like,
my dream. That's my dream, to have a studio and to be able to do things like that, teach people, because I love teaching. You know, that's like my number one passion. I love creating art, but I love teaching. I love interacting with people. So that, yeah, that's my dream. I just need a space and funds in order to do that. But my goal is to either get a different house with a garage that I can turn into a studio, or build like a studio in the house that I live in now.
Yeah.
Not really sure. But in order to do like the next level of analog photography, which is wet plate collodion, and you have to use like some pretty
strong chemicals.
Yeah, like that literally can explode or catch fire, or like it yeah, so it can be kind of dangerous.
That sounds scary.
So, but I want to do that. I want to get into that. It's absolutely doable, but I have to have a safe space in order to do that. And I would love to have a workshop and help people create art like that. Absolutely. But you have to have a space for that. You can't do, like right now, my dark room is my shower, my bathroom, because it doesn't have a window. So I have like a little blackout curtain that I can put over the door, and then have my little red light in there. But I do all my chems and stuff in the shower, because my shower is big enough where I can like lay down a table and do all my chemistry. I can't bring people over to my house in my shower and be like, let's learn analog. Yeah.
That goes a lot to like, doing this, like I gotta be careful who you definitely gotta be careful who you bring to your house, like. Yeah. It's your safe space, you know. You don't want to like invite somebody that's gonna make you feel iffy, and now they know where you live, So
and into a dark bathroom in the back of your house, right? So I'm gonna wait till I get my studio. Yeah. So, but if you want to come to Cars and Coffee, and like I'm more than happy to show you the back of my ground glass. That's a public space, like it's totally safe. It's totally fine.
So let's go back to like, why did you choose photography and not something easier?
Yeah. So I think we had started talking about that before the other thing. Yeah. But so I've always been science-minded. I've always loved like every aspect of science, physics, chemistry, biology. So I think I was originally drawn to it because, number one, I think that my mind has always been primed to have that good eye and see beauty in my own unique way. Yeah. And so when I thought about doing photography, like I said, it kind of was almost like on a whim. It was like, this is just what I'm supposed to do. It was just a feeling like this. Yeah, like I just knew that's where I was supposed to go. And then once I actually started the program and really started to dive into all of the different types of photography, then it was like, okay, so now photography is a combination of art and science, light and shadow, shape, chemistry in the darkroom. And there's this feeling when you're in a darkroom and doing that kind of work. Like I said, it's just indescribable. It's a feeling that you can't get anywhere else. Like those ASMR things that people like to watch, right? Online. It's like that, but for like artsy people. And it's calming and it's therapeutic. And it forces you to slow down and experience the world. It almost feels like the time is slowing down. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation like that, or
I feel like that when I'm driving.
Yeah, and it probably is like that for people, where like almost like the world narrows and you're just like super attuned to what's.
You feel like relief.
Yeah, or like what's like. You're super attuned. You can like narrow in on whatever's like right in front of you. Your mind just is calm, and yeah, like I guess you do understand that feeling, but that's what I get when I'm in the dark room. And so I think how I was born and my family history and everything, I think because the foundation of photography is science-based and it's difficult. Like I have to be intellectually challenged.
Yeah.
And photography is hard. I know technology makes it as easy as possible, but even, I know that you know this because you shoot. Even with the aid of technology, you still have to think.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I want to do more of that. That's why I like the analog. I like the challenge. I'm having to keep like detailed logs of every single shot and the angle and the time of day and, you know, how many minutes I developed and like just so many different things because it's a science doing that type of work. And I love that.
That's pretty awesome.
Because I'm a nerd at heart. And so I think
Look,
photography just fits that.
Like,
yes.
I'm a nerd in so many different ways.
Yeah.
And, like, this is just a part of it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
when I feel like when I was growing up, my mom used to buy me all these, like, little cars and stuff. And I will always, like, take them up. I always like to know how things work.
Yeah.
So I always say, like, if I could, like, take it apart and see how it works, I could put it back together. Same thing with, like, photography, making videos. If I could figure out how it works, I could do it. I have visual memory.
Okay.
So, like, if I see somebody do something and, like, I really want to learn, like, I'll memorize how they did it and then I'll practice it until I make it my thing.
There we go. Yeah.
So, it's like, I don't know. I think it's kind of cool, though.
Yeah, that's like fulfilling though. Yeah, it's this little like itch you need to scratch, like intellectually and artistically, and it's important for people to find that for themselves, you know.
So what's one piece of advice that you could tell your younger self if you could?
Oh goodness. Like I said, I feel like I've lived so many different lifetimes. I think the number one lesson that I've learned, especially in the past year, is to trust that like gut feeling. When you feel like things are clicking and like this is where you're supposed to be, and you feel this sense of calm or excitement, like just follow that. Do whatever you can to keep doing more of that. It's like, you know, reaching that next level of life. Life is kind of like a game, I guess, in some ways. At least I kind of view it that way, where you're constantly trying to level up, get to that next place. Not just for like the hell of it, but because you want to get better. You want to grow as a person. You want to just be the most that you're capable of being, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that when you have that feeling, that, yeah, you should just follow that. Because I wouldn't be here now if, number one, if I didn't have people that believed in me. I know that like some people say that like you should just be enough to believe in yourself, but it certainly helps when other people see something in you that you weren't ready to accept about yourself.
Yeah.
Because I've always been an artist. I've always been capable of creating art, but I didn't do it seriously for a long time because I didn't believe in myself enough. But then I found people that saw that in me, even though I knew it kind of always was there, but I wasn't willing to follow it. I could
resonate with that.
Yeah.
I'm like the same way. Like I told you, I wasn't going to do the show. And then my wife and my best friend pushed me. They were like,
yeah,
you really need to, like, this is an opportunity. Like, we could see where you're going to be. Just take the step forward. What are you waiting for?
Yeah.
So, like, that little push just, you know.
It's terrifying, though. Because they saw you, right? You had that feeling of being seen. And then you had that feeling of, if I don't do this, then, like, what does that say about me if I don't try to do this?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I know that I'm a great photographer and I'm a great artist and I have room to grow and I'm going to continue to get better and I'm going to capture moments that people are going to love for the rest of their lives. I don't want to ever stop doing that.
Yeah.
I don't want to reach the end of my life and be like, how far could I have pushed that? Oh man, I bet you I could have published a book or something, but I just never did it. I don't ever want to like be on my deathbed like thinking that. I want to do the absolute most. And having my studio and doing that sort of thing, like, that's the pinnacle for me. And I'm going to continue to work towards that as long as I feel like I'm resonating and everything that I'm doing is aligning with that. I mean, I don't really have any indication that it's not, but
I feel like in like 5 years I could see you in your studio doing what you love.
I hope so. Yeah.
I mean, I always have an eye for, like, I don't know, like things like that for some reason. Like,
yeah.
You know, like you could tell when somebody's like heading in the right direction. It's like, you know, like stuff just kind of aligns and move out of the way for you.
And That's funny that you say that too, because that's something that I've heard from multiple clients. And hopefully your audience doesn't think that I think so highly of myself. I'm being honest and genuine with what people have told me. Clients that I only photograph for 30 minutes at a car show, they'll be like, you really love what you're doing. And I feel so comfortable around you. I feel like I've known you for forever. They say, you are so passionate. You're smiling, you're happy. So many clients have told me that. And not to say that I'm not happy doing other things in my life, because like I said, I love teaching science, but there's something about photography for me that
it's like your spirit animal.
There's nothing else that gives me that feeling of fulfillment.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about career-wise and stuff. You know what I mean?
I get what you mean, because I get the same feeling.
Not to discount my family or anything like that, but you know what I mean.
When you follow your passion and your love, you should feel exactly how you're feeling now talking about it. Because if you don't, then I feel like you're not following what you're supposed to be doing.
Then you haven't found it. You haven't found your thing. And I've heard that so many times, and that helps me continue going forward. Like I said, the reason why I got into car photography is because my friend said, look at the way you're talking about this. You don't talk about anything else like this. Why aren't you doing this?
Yeah.
And sometimes it just takes that to unlock that door and to just step through it,
You'd be like, I might as well see, at least I tried it. And if I didn't like it, then I know that it wasn't for me.
Exactly. And that's why I immediately started looking up car shows, and I just went and I did it, and then here I am,
Yeah. The one thing I'm gonna give you props is to find a car show and not being fully a car person and going to a car show. It could be kind of intimidating for somebody.
Yeah.
So big props to you to go to a car show, and like I said, the last 6 months I've been tremendous growth for your photography for cars and networking, meeting new people. It really shows you that you're in the right path.
Yeah.
So that's really kind of cool to see and hear about it now.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're a part of that. And I appreciate you asking me to join your podcast, and I've had an incredible time. And thank you for seeing me too, because I really like your work. I love the podcast that you do with your wife too. That's so cute. I love that.
Thank you.
But yeah, I love meeting people where we can help each other grow and reach that, next level of life.
Definitely.
That's what it's all about,
That's how it is for me. So one thing I did want to ask you, what's the one thing that keeps you motivated, pushing to get better when there's nobody watching?
I have this internal perfectionism drive where even if I create incredible art, this is both good and bad, but even when I create incredible art, I think I could have done XYZ better. If I could redo that, I could have done this angle, or could have had them do this, or dang, why didn't I think about doing this other thing? Or even if it's just a turn of the head, or a different, slightly different pose, or, something like that. So sometimes I have to slow myself down to make sure that I appreciate the things that I've already created, but that helps me get better for the next time.
Right.
And that's what keeps me going, because I know I can always do better. And I do want to be the absolute best version of myself as a photographer. And you will always grow. And every single person that you shoot is unique.
Yeah.
And you can grow and change and become better, and your posing become better, your read of the light become better. But you become more attuned to the uniqueness of each person in their car too, right? I am still blown away at how many different angles I continue to discover, posing, all the little knickknacks that people have in their cars. It seems like it's endless, because every car and every person is unique. And I love that. And I'll continue to just keep getting as good as I possibly can,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hopefully I answered your question, I think.
Yeah, I think you did.
Okay.
So with that being said, where could people find you on social media if they want to get in contact with you, if they want to book with you, or future events you're planning on going that they could see you and see you do your work if they want to chit-chat?
So I have an Instagram. It's Jessamine Photography, Jessamine. And I also have a website, which is jessamine.photography. Not like .com, like jessamine.photography.
Okay.
Yeah. Once my trademark comes through on my photography name, I'm going to try to get that website from the person that's holding it, but that's a whole nother thing.
Oh, wow.
Somebody
Okay.
has the jessaminephotography.com.
Interesting.
Someday. But those are the only two places that I'm at, but I actually just recently put a booking system in place for Cars and Coffee if you want to do like a digital or even a tintype photograph session. So I'm doing like 45-minute chunks for the Charlotte Motor Speedway Cars and Coffee. And I have hopes of doing that at other car shows, but I plan on posting to my story either the day before or in the morning of the day of the car show, just to tell people where I'm going to be. And
Please
they can
tag me. I'll share it.
Yes,
so people
I can do that.
Yeah.
And then, come find me. I'm the girl that's like flailing about, laying about, like rolling around, like acting all wild and crazy at the car show photographing. I think that's part of what my clients call the treatment. Is because I will get that angle. I will do whatever I have to do to make you look the absolute best. So can't turn down a good angle, okay?
Yeah, you can't. You got to get the angles for sure.
Yeah.
So for everybody watching, all of her social media will be linked in the description below. Please check her out. Jessica has been amazing. It's been great conversation.
Yeah.
I love hearing your story all the way from your great-grandparents,
Yes,
to where you are now, and your journey from starting like car photography and man,
there's been so many things. It's okay.
The templates, what is that kind of photography called again?
Tintype.
Tintype, okay.
Yeah.
The tintype photography.
Yeah.
Which I hope to experience and see you
Yes.
know, as you're doing your thing.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming on. And I hope everybody enjoys hearing her story. For more information, again, all her social media is going to be in the description below. And now I'm going to display some of the album that she showed, the book, and some of the tintype.
Tintypes. TINTYPES. Tintypes.
Tintypes
Yeah.
photography that she brought to showcase, because they were
Cool.
pretty amazing. So again, everybody, thank you for watching, and thank you, Jessica.
Yeah,
I hope
thank
you keep
you.
growing, and hopefully we could do another one in a few years or something. Whenever
With my studio, like in my studio. Wouldn't that be cool? When
That'd
you're
be
like,
awesome.
when you got like 1 million followers and I have my own studio. Heck
let's
yeah.
go. Yeah. Okay,
We'll
guys.
manifest that future together.
Yeah, for sure. Thank
Cool.
you so much.
Yeah.
See you guys in the next one.
Bye.